welcome back to Hot Take Central 2.0. We have a special guest here. He's a two-time AEW TNT champion. He's a one-time AEW Tag Team champion alongside his friend and mentor, Sting. He's one of the four pillars of AEW alongside Jack Perry, Sammy Guevara, and MJF. Ladies and gentlemen, he has passions for skateboarding, filmmaking. He is climbing up Mount Everest. He's got a match with Jon Moxley, an I Quit match. Here he is, Darby Allin. Woo!
What's up, Darby?
One of the most death-defying wrestlers, baby.
Good morning.
How we doing, my friend?
I'm in one piece. I'm alive. I ain't complaining.
Oh, that's awesome, my friend. Obviously, Jon Moxley has been a thorn in your side, so how will you make Jon Moxley utter the words, I quit, in the I Quit match here at Wrestle Dream?
Man, an I Quit match between Darby Allin and Jon Moxley. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be insane because you got to make your opponent say the words I quit. And if anyone knows anything about me, I don't quit. If anybody knows anything about Moxley, he doesn't quit. So it's going to be one crazy night, that's for sure.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. And you've climbed up Mount Everest. You incorporated one of your favorite hobbies, skateboarding, while you were up there. You set a world record, landed a kickflip at over 20,000 feet above sea level. How was that climbing up Mount Everest, Darby?
Oh, it was amazing. It was the best / worst thing ever. It was literally so I don't know, I cried at the summit. It was very amazing, but it was Mount Everest is no joke. There's a lot. You could die so easily on that mountain, but it was a privilege to be able to do that essentially in the prime of my career. Because if you think about it, AEW just let me go off and climb Mount Everest in the prime of my career when I feel like amazing, instead of being like, hey, no, you need to stay here and wrestle. Like, do what you want to do in your life. And I was like, oh, amazing. So I was able to go summit Everest, and then on the way, like you said, set a world record of highest elevation kickflip. And then a few months later, I tried to do the lowest elevation kickflip of all time in the bottom of the ocean with 15 sharks swimming around my head. So.
Was it the Mariana Trench?
No, it was for Shark Week down in Bahamas. It was just like no one's ever tried to bring a skateboard to the bottom of the ocean, so I knew it was going to be the lowest elevation kickflip of all time.
So let me go back to the Mount Everest thing, because I'm really curious. I watch all the documentaries about it, and for one, it's pretty expensive to even sign up and climb the mountain. And two, like when you were up there, how was the weather? Did you ever get jammed up where you're like, oh my God, this is getting scary?
So the weather was pretty nice. The big thing about it is when you're that high, like everything, it's all in Mother Nature's hands. You can practice and train as much as you physically can, but it's all out of your hands to a certain point. And day of the summit, it got pretty gnarly, and you started seeing all these new dead bodies that died. People giving out on the mountain, like in front of you, and you're like, oh, gotta stay like level headed here, because yeah, it's gnarly. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
That's beyond crazy.
It is crazy.
Darby, let me ask you about your relationship with Sting. Tell me about how that started and what your relationship is with him, because so many people know him and love that guy.
Yeah, he's the greatest. He came to AEW during the pandemic, so it's essentially when there's like barely any fans able to come to the building. So he took a chance on AEW. Just with his career, he had nothing left to prove. So the fact that he came to AEW during the pandemic and didn't wait for like a big crowd, like stadium, because the man has no ego. He literally forgets he's Sting half the time. So it was pretty cool that he came and did that for us during that time of our company. But fast forward all these years later, I actually just had his son's first match on last Friday. I am running an art show in New York at this gallery called 52 Walker, and I put some matches on down there, and I had his son have his first match because I've been training his son for the last year. So it's a full circle moment.
Absolutely, Darby. You're one of the biggest company guys and one of the biggest supporters for AEW. What makes AEW so great, and what are some of your favorite matches you've had?
what makes AEW so great? Didn't you just hear me talking about Mount Everest, man? The freedom.
Yeah, baby.
Jesus, man, we're not some, like, I don't know, dude. I can't even express. It's the freedom. It is the freedom 100%. It's like, go out and be you, because you can't create Darby. I am me. You can't, so I would say it's the freedom. And then some of my favorite matches have been against Moxley. We've been doing so much crazy stuff for over the last year that, like I said, I don't even know what we're going to do in St. Louis to make each other say I quit. I have too much pride, and I know he does too. So if anybody wants to see something insane, October 18th, Wrestle Dream is going to be gnarly.
Obviously, you have a huge passion for skateboarding. What made you fall in love with skateboarding? I know you've incorporated it into the sport of wrestling. So what made you really passionate about skateboarding?
Well, growing up, I really felt it was something you could do by yourself. You didn't need any coaches, because I did all the sports growing up. I did wrestling, football, track, field, everything. And the moment I picked up a skateboard, I'm telling you, I stopped doing all of those, because it was just me and the board. I didn't have to have a team. I didn't have to have coaches. It was just me and the board. And it was just a really good form of self-expression in my eyes. And fast forward all these years later, I'm teaming up with Tony Hawk to build a skate park in my town in Georgia that I'm living in right now. So yeah, it's pretty sick, because I wouldn't be here without skateboarding. So I want to bring the skate parks back to the community, so everybody has the awesome thing of having a skate park right down the street from them.
Well, that's nice, man. Hey, like, let me ask you, I know wrestling's so hardcore. Like, what are some nasty injuries that you had to go through and endure?
Oh, about a year and a half ago, I was supposed to climb Everest last year, and then about a couple weeks before I was supposed to leave to Everest, I broke my foot in a match. I was so bummed. So I broke 3 metatarsals, and then about a couple months, like a month or so after I broke my foot, I got hit by a bus.
Oh.
But
how the hell did that happen? Skateboarding? Was that skateboarding?
No, I know, because it was in New York. I was trying to cross the street. But what's it called? But in matches though, I've had broken elbow, got hit by a shovel, broke my elbow. Yeah, all types of weird things, but nothing actually too crazy to the point where I had to be out for like a long period of time. People think, oh man, Darby is not gonna be able to walk when he's 30, but I'm 32 and I feel great. I feel amazing.
So you have a match coming up with Moxley. We're all excited for that. Who are some of the crazier guys you've been in the ring with? Guys that you think maybe were a little touched or were just in general crazy?
Man, I think about it. I think you can think about Sting, for example. Again, he was 64 years old and he had nothing left to prove at the end of his career. And the fact that he was jumping off these 15, 20-foot balconies at 64, that's pretty crazy. Because sometimes I see some 28-year-olds being like, oh, I'm sore, I'm beat up, I can't do that. And then here's a man that's like twice their age going insane. So I'd say Sting's up there, that's for sure. Moxley's up there, that's for sure. Brody King's up there, that's for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of. I think you have to be a little crazy to be in pro wrestling to begin with.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What pisses you off in the ring, though? A guy that doesn't sell, maybe a guy that has a finishing move, but he doesn't secure you the proper way, so maybe your neck's kind of exposed. Like, what makes you mad when you do wrestle somebody else? Maybe you got to talk to them afterwards about it.
I think it's more the ego. I get more mad if people get a big head, because essentially this is just a 15-minute ride, and it's going to be over one day. And so much people start to believe their own hype and get all egotistical and think they're like prima donna. That drives me pretty up the wall, because I'm just like, man, just stay level-headed, stay cool, man. Like, don't think you're some A-list celebrity walking down the red carpet, man. Just be passionate about your sport. So it's the ego that drives me crazy.
I get that.
Yeah, Darby, obviously you have a passion for filmmaking. Talk about your passion for filmmaking a little bit.
I I went to film school in Arizona, and I dropped out because they wouldn't let me make the movies I wanted to make. And then, lo and behold, I saw a flyer for a wrestling show, and then I was like, man, I've always loved wrestling, but never had the confidence to actually do it. But I've been making films pretty much like my whole life from elementary school, but I wanted to do it. But when I went to film school in Arizona, I wasn't a fan of film school.
Yeah, that's probably not your type of crowd to hang with. But what kind of films were you wanting to make? And do this, like what type of films are you talking here?
Oh, just like little school projects that we had. We had a thing where we had 8 hours to film at the school, and I had this crazy storyline, and I started filming it, and then the teacher walked in while I was filming it, and then we created a scene out in the bathroom stall where like it's a crazy story, but we just kind of not destroyed the bathroom, but we made it look crazy, and then she said like, I don't know. It's a whole thing. she was like, you can't be making these type of movies here. And then I was like, man, we're over 18. Why can't I make this movie? I'm paying to be here at film school. And then I was like, you know what? If I can't have the creative freedom in film making, I'm out of here. So that's what I told myself first day of wrestling school. I'm either going to make it as Darby or I'm going to fail as Darby. But I'm not changing a single thing for anybody.
Absolutely.
So I kind of stuck to that, and long and behold, here I am, AEW, rocking and rolling and climbing mountains and everything like that. But at the end of the day, like I said, man, AEW just said, be you, Darby. And that's the biggest blessing in my whole life.
What is your biggest problem with the Death Riders, Darby?
Oh, it's just the little things they do to chip away at what makes this place amazing. They take away, I think it all started with Bryan Danielson. He was like, he kind of represented everything that made AEW what it is. He was like just the face of this company essentially for a few years. He was the guy that would go out there and have the best matches every night, no problem, no ego. And the Death Riders took him out. They essentially ended his in-ring wrestling career. So that's like my biggest problem with the Death Riders is they're slowly chipping away at everything that makes AEW special.
Who are the guys when you were young you looked up to? Obviously, Sting is in the mix. You got to work with him, but I'm talking about some of the old school guys that maybe you saw as a kid and said, yeah, I want to be like that.
It's hard to say. I was more inspired by like skateboarding and musicians, like more than anything. But growing up though, like people that I was a fan of in wrestling, there's definitely guys like Jeff Hardy and Mick Foley and stuff like that. But like I for some reason growing up, I never like saw wrestling and was like, I want to hang out with those guys. I would always see skateboarders or musicians and be like, I want to be like those guys. So it's kind of fun to try to incorporate all those worlds into the world of wrestling, like we talked about earlier with skateboarding and stuff. So it's fun to take my outside passion for skateboarding and bring it into this world of wrestling because I just don't really see myself vibing with too much wrestlers.
Well, I guess you were watching Ric Flair back in the day and he's hanging out with all those girls and riding on them jets, you're probably like, yeah, I'd like to be a part of that lifestyle a little bit. I certainly did when I was a kid. Let me ask you though.
Definitely not for me. Definitely not for me.
Good for you.
I was homeless living in a garage in Atlanta and sleeping in my car, and that was good enough for me. I didn't need the planes
and the limos and the gator boots. Yeah, man, I get that. Yeah, good for you. Yeah. Good for you. I got to ask you though, like being a wrestling fan, like if you had to go back and give a Mount Rushmore of the best wrestlers of all time, what would yours be?
How much is that again? How much people are we talking?
Four, baby.
Four. All right. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. That's pretty intense. I'd say Sting, Mick Foley, Bryan Danielson, and Third one is
No Stone Cold?
in my eye. Oh man, I don't know.
Jeff Hardy. I mean, I compare you a lot to Jeff Hardy.
Probably Jeff Hardy. I'm just 'Cause I'm thinking of like the performance, because like when I would watch these guys like Jeff and Mick, I'd be like, whoa, that like checks off, because I always loved doing stunts growing up. So I'd be like, yo, that checks off like that craving to do X, Y, and Z. So I'd say those four.
Interesting, man.
All right. Tell us why you paint half your face. I know the story, but tell our listeners here, why do you paint half your face?
Oh, so this was a car accident when I was a younger kid, and with my uncle, and so I started to paint half my face because 50% of me is dead inside. My trust for people, and it kind of just is able to go into this thing where if I feel like something crazy happened that early in life, I kind of got less scared going forward. So I was able to do a lot more crazier things and, risk it. I just risked a lot more growing up and I just didn't care about everything. So it's pretty much just 50% of me feels dead inside. And it's mainly just the trust for people.
I like your attitude, man. Darby, appreciate you coming on. Good luck with everything. We're going to be watching.
All right, sir.
All righty, buddy. Thanks, Darby. Darby Allin doing his thing, man.
Unique guy.
Very interesting guy. It's climbing mountains, skateboarding, doing all that stuff.
Good job, Brody.
Good job, Brody, by the way.